The apartment smelled faintly of burnt popcorn and lavender air freshener, a testament to the human's questionable culinary skills and Alethra's attempts to adapt Earth customs. The living room was cluttered with a curious blend of mismatched Earth furniture and alien trinkets. A lava lamp from the 70s sat next to a crystalline orb that occasionally hummed, emitting a soft blue glow that defied all known physics. It was in this peculiar setting that the human, with damp hair and a towel precariously knotted at the waist, stumbled into the next sequence of cosmic awkwardness. Alethra had long ears, delicately pointed like the wings of a fragile insect, though no Earth insect ever looked quite so celestial. Her skin shimmered faintly in the apartment's dim lighting, picking up the flickering hues of a vintage neon sign that read, "Space the Final Pizza." She'd claimed it was a cultural misunderstanding, a mix-up with Star Trek's merchandise aisle, but the humans suspected it was her idea of a joke. At precisely 9:02 p.m., the human, whose name was Alex, though no one ever called him anything but dude or hey you, emerged from the steamy bathroom with a towel around his waist and a song on his lips, some off-key rendition of an old Earth tune that Alethra said reminded her of an Andromedan mating call. He turned the corner, ready to collapse on the couch, only to freeze like a bad freeze frame in a B-movie. There in the living room stood Alethra, holding a bag of Earth's finest tortilla chips, as if it were the lost Ark of the Covenant. Her bright teal eyes widened to the size of small planets as she took in the spectacle of a half-naked Alex. Then it happened. Her ears twitched, her cheeks flushed a deep, iridescent purple, an alien hue so vibrant it made eggplants look bland. The chips fell from her hands, scattering like tiny edible meteors across the linoleum floor. Alex tried to stammer out an apology, but his brain short-circuited under the sheer ridiculousness of the moment. I didn't know you were out here." Alethra's eyes darted left and right, like a trapped cat assessing escape routes. But she was no feline. She was a Xanthian anthropologist with a degree in Earth studies and a complete inability to handle the concept of accidental nudity. She let out a sound halfway between a squeak and a cosmic sigh. I, I saw too much human." Alex couldn't help himself. He laughed. "Yeah, well, I didn't mean to flash my, too much human at you. Cultural differences, right?" She stared at him, her purple blush intensifying, then shook her head. "Number one Xanthia, seeing another's, form like this." She waved a hand inarticulately. It is very significant." He blinked. "Significant? Like I owe you dinner or something?" She backed toward the hallway, cheeks now a shocking ultraviolet that could probably power a small starship. "No, more like bond. Emotional, psychological. It's complicated." Alex watched her retreat, a trail of tortilla chips in her wake, and for a moment he wondered if he'd accidentally proposed. The room smelled even stronger of burnt popcorn now, the glow from the orb on the shelf pulsing softly, as if the universe itself were sharing a laugh at their cosmic faux pas. The days that followed felt like a bizarre sitcom written by intergalactic stand-up comedians. Every time Alex entered a room, Alethra would perform a clumsy disappearing act worthy of an amateur magician, ducking behind the couch, flattening herself against a wall, or feigning sudden fascination with the collection of Earth's worst reality shows playing on a screen the size of a small moon. The tension hung between them like a cosmic fog, thick enough to cut with a laser knife. But Alex couldn't help noticing that the more she tried to avoid him, the more he found himself drawn to her oddities. The way her ears twitched at random frequencies, or how her skin glowed faintly in the dark, like a starfish that had been dipped in bioluminescent paint. He tried to break the ice by leaving notes on the fridge, like, "Sorry about the whole towel thing, my bad, let's never mention it again. Kieran Seshik's by." But Alethra responded with her own brand of apology, sticky notes written in a chaotic mix of English and Xanthian script, which looked suspiciously like a caterpillar had crawled through wet ink. One note simply read, "So sorry for see human body. No intent, ears in shame." One evening, Alex found her hiding behind a stack of old Earth comic books, her long ears folded down like the wings of a grounded spaceship. He cleared his throat, trying to sound casual. Hey, I think we need to talk about the whole "you accidentally saw me naked" situation. Her eyes widened as if he'd activated some hidden hyperspace jump. We must not talk. It is, how you say, intense bonding. Irreversible, he snorted. Intense bonding? I mean, I've had weird Tinder dates before, but this is a whole new level of cosmic awkwardness. She didn't laugh. Instead, she stared at him with a look of grave seriousness, the kind of look reserved for solemn proclamations and spaceship launch codes. On Xanthia, seeing one's, unclothed form is not casual. It triggers biopsychological bonding. Emotional frequencies intertwine. We become connected. Alex's brain did somersaults, trying to process the idea that his accidental towel slip had accidentally signed him up for an intergalactic marriage license. Wait, connected? Like we're dating now. Should I bring you flowers or something? She shook her head, her cheeks a shy shade of lavender. No, not dating. Bonding. It is like emotional Bluetooth. We are synced. He nearly choked on his own laughter. Emotional Bluetooth? Oh man, that's hilarious. She didn't smile. It is serious, Alex. We can hear each other's thoughts sometimes, in flashes, and, sometimes feelings. Alex's grin faded. Feelings? Like, you'll know when I'm hungry or when I want to punch my boss. Elithra's ears twitched again, and she nodded. Sometimes it is, complicated. The room suddenly felt too small, like the walls were closing in under the weight of an unintentional cosmic bond. But then Alex's stomach let out a loud, gurgling growl, a sound that would have embarrassed a rhinoceros, and both of them burst out laughing at the absurdity of it all. He sighed, wiping tears from his eyes. Well, if you're going to hear my thoughts anyway, you might as well know I'm dying for a pizza. Elithra's ears lifted, and she gave a shy, hopeful smile. Pizza, I can order. We can talk more. Less tense. More Earth custom. Deal. And so, amidst the laughter, purple cheeks, and cosmic confusion, the two of them settled into a kind of truce, a fragile, funny bond formed by the strangest accident the universe could imagine. The living room transformed into a haphazard dinner theater, complete with microwave lasagna that smelled vaguely of cardboard and stardust. Alex had decided that if he was stuck in an emotional Bluetooth bond with his alien roommate, he might as well treat it like an interstellar rom-com. Elithra perched on the edge of the couch like a confused bird, her long ears twitching at every beep and buzz from the old Earth oven. She'd insisted on using Earth's traditional mating foods, microwave meals and cheap wine in a plastic cup, apparently gleaned from a questionable Earth documentary titled Love on a Shoestring Budget. Alex set the table, or rather the coffee table, complete with mismatched plates and a candle that looked suspiciously like a plasma coil repurposed from an old space freighter. The room glowed in soft hues of blue and pink from Elithra's glowing crystal orb, and the faint hum of the refrigerator gave the whole scene a background noise of cosmic white noise. So, Alex began, taking a dramatic sip of the cheap wine and grimacing at the taste. Tell me more about this bonding thing. Emotional Bluetooth. Do we get static sometimes? Or like, dropped calls? Elithra tilted her head, her ears unfurling in a way that reminded him of delicate satellite dishes. Dropped calls? I think that is when communication is lost? No, not exactly. Sometimes feelings, like a static wave, come through. Unintentionally, he raised an eyebrow. So, if I'm thinking about, say, lasagna or, hypothetically, something more embarrassing, you'd know? Her cheeks turned a light purple as she poked at the lasagna with a plastic fork. Yes, and sometimes I think of things and you feel them too. Alex couldn't help but laugh, even as a stray forkful of lasagna threatened to escape his plate. That explains a lot, like that time in the kitchen when I suddenly felt like dancing the Macarena. Elithra's eyes widened and she leaned forward earnestly. That was me. was thinking of a Xanthian celebration dance. It is very different. More elbows. He choked on his wine, wiping tears of laughter from his eyes. More elbows. Got it. She set her fork down, her expression softening. Alex, this bond, it is not something I can control. On my planet, it means something serious. I did not intend to bond. It just happened. I am sorry if it makes you uncomfortable. He sighed, staring at the lasagna that now seemed to mirror the mess of his life. No, Elithra, I'm not mad. I wasn't exactly prepared to share my brain with someone else, let alone an alien with long ears and a suspicious fondness for microwave meals. She let out a small musical laugh, and her ears twitched in time with it. We are both learning, yes. Earth customs are confusing, but also interesting. Like this lasagna. Is it supposed to taste like burnt star fuel? Alex snorted, nearly spraying wine across the table. No, that's just me being a terrible cook. Elithra tilted her head. Maybe I can help. On Xanthia, we have cook modules that, how you say, atomize the ingredients into proper molecular forms. Very efficient. He grinned. Well, on Earth, we usually just burn everything, or order takeout. She considered that thoughtfully. Takeout? That sounds fascinating. They both laughed, and for the first time since the accidental bond, the tension loosened. The room felt a little less like a sci-fi sitcom and a little more like two lost souls sharing a cosmic joke. And somewhere in the background, the plasma coil candle flickered, casting strange shadows that danced like alien fireflies, reminding them both that sometimes, even in the weirdest situations, laughter was the best kind of translation. A knock at the door arrived like a meteor strike, unexpected, loud, and carrying a sense of impending chaos. Alex nearly dropped his coffee mug, splattering what little dignity remained of his morning routine. Elithra, whose ears had been peacefully twitching in a rhythm that suggested she was lost in a daydream, leapt to her feet with an agility that would have impressed a Cirque du Soleil performer, if they hired long-eared aliens with a knack for accidental telepathy. It is them, she whispered, her voice quivering like a malfunctioning warp engine. Them? Alex echoed, balancing his half-empty mug and a leftover slice of cold pizza. My family, she breathed, eyes wide. They have come to discuss the bond. Before Alex could process the idea that he was about to meet his accidental in-laws from another planet, the door whooshed open with a hiss of compressed air, some sort of high-tech courtesy feature Elithra had installed that he'd never figured out. The living room suddenly felt like the set of a bizarre talk show as three tall figures with even longer ears than Elithra's entered, each adorned with flowing iridescent robes that shimmered like interstellar soap bubbles. Their eyes glowed in hues Alex couldn't quite name, somewhere between cyan and please don't eat me green. The tallest, presumably Elithra's parent, regarded Alex with a mixture of curiosity and horror. You are the human who revealed the unclothed form? The voice resonated like a subwoofer at a sci-fi rave. Alex gulped, his cheeks turning pink. Yeah, that's me. Sorry about that. Cultural differences, you know? The other two aliens leaned in, their ears extending slightly, giving them the appearance of hyper-curious starfish. One whispered something that sounded suspiciously like bananas before the tallest one raised a hand, a gesture Alex recognized from Earth as hold my beer, but here it probably meant prepare to be judged. On Xanthia, such a sight initiates a bond that is difficult to dissolve, the tallest one intoned. Did you intend this? Alex's laughter burst out before he could stop it. No, I mean, she just walked in. I wasn't, flaunting the goods or anything. Elithra's face flushed a deep purple, and she stared at her feet. It was an accident, she muttered. I did not mean to bond. The aliens began conferring among themselves, their language a mix of clicks, whistles, and the occasional English phrase like disco ball and tax forms. Alex caught snippets like quantum paperwork and squid ink, but the rest was pure sci-fi gibberish. Finally, the tallest one turned back. There is a process to dissolve the bond. It involves a ceremony, paperwork, and a certain liquid from the nebula squid. difficult to procure. Alex's jaw dropped. A squid? Wait, like a real squid? I'm allergic to seafood. Elithra's ears twitched. Not seafood. Nebula squid. Very different. More glowy. Alex blinked, trying to imagine a glow-in-the-dark space squid. Right, of course. The tallest one sighed. Alternatively, you may choose to complete the bond. This requires shared experiences, trust, laughter, and perhaps a decent meal. Alex met Elithra's eyes. Despite the cosmic absurdity of it all, a smile tugged at his lips. A decent meal, huh? Well, maybe that's something I can handle, if I don't burn it. Elithra's ears flicked upward, and she actually laughed. A sound that reminded Alex of chimes on a breezy day. The aliens exchanged knowing looks, their ears vibrating with approval. Very well, the tallest one intoned. You have a choice, human, bond or dissolve. The fate of your emotional Bluetooth rests in your hands. Alex took a deep breath, ready to dive into the absurdity head first, his brain humming like a starship at warp speed. A week later, Alex found himself standing at the entrance of the Intergalactic Customs Office, a place that looked like a mashup between a DMV, a spaceport terminal, and a low-budget sci-fi movie set. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting a sterile glow on the crowds of aliens in various shapes, sizes, and bioluminescent hues. Some wore business suits that sparkled like disco balls. Others sported elaborate robes that seemed to defy gravity. A faint scent of burnt ozone and suspiciously synthetic coffee hung in the air. Elithra stood by his side, her ears twitching nervously like twin antennae trying to pick up a clear signal. She clutched a small data pad with the paperwork the Xanthian authorities had forced on them, an absurd stack of forms, holographic signatures, and something called Squid Ink Authorization Form 42G. Alex tried to keep a straight face, but the idea of a bureaucracy that required intergalactic squid ink to dissolve a bond was almost too ridiculous. Alex, she said, her voice trembling just enough to reveal how anxious she was. We have two choices. Finalize the bond or fill out this monstrous paperwork. She held up the pad like it contained the fate of the galaxy. He glanced at her, noticing the way her iridescent skin shimmered under the office lights, and felt a pang of something he couldn't quite define. Fondness, maybe, or just the realization that he'd grown to care about this odd, long-eared alien, who'd once nearly died of embarrassment after seeing him naked. He thought back to the lasagna, the laughter, the way her laughter sounded like chimes in a summer breeze. Hey, he said, elbowing her lightly. You know this whole emotional Bluetooth thing? It's not the worst thing that's happened to me. He grinned. I've accidentally started fires in the kitchen that were way more traumatic. Elithra's ears perked up, and she let out a giggle, a sound so contagious that a nearby android clerk gave them a disapproving glare before returning to its stack of blinking forms. You are strange, she said, but I like that. Alex took a deep breath, the tension leaving his shoulders. Look, Elithra, maybe we don't need to dissolve this thing. Maybe we can figure it out together. I mean, sure, sharing thoughts is weird, but so is everything else in this universe. He gestured around them at the parade of aliens, the humming lights, the faint smell of something burning. I think I'd rather keep the bond and see where it takes us. Squid ink or not, her cheeks flushed a soft lavender, and her eyes brightened like twin nebulae. You mean, you choose to bond? He shrugged, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Yeah, I choose to bond. I mean, who else is going to share my terrible cooking disasters with me? Elithra let out a laugh that sparkled in the air, and the tension dissolved like space dust in a solar wind. She reached out, her long fingers brushing his hand, and the bond between them pulsed, an invisible thread that felt surprisingly comforting. A nearby clerk cleared its throat, a sound like a cross between a dying cat and a malfunctioning warp drive, and waved them forward. Next! It intoned with robotic impatience. Alex squeezed her hand and turned to the clerk. We'd like to finalize the bond, please. No paperwork, no squid ink, just us. The clerk gave them a look that suggested existential boredom, but it stamped the necessary forms with a glowing green laser and handed them back with a flat, Congratulations on your emotional Bluetooth. Alex laughed and Elithra joined him, their laughter blending with the hum of the office, the shuffling aliens, and the scent of burnt coffee. As they walked out, Alex felt a strange sense of peace. He'd stumbled into an accidental bond with an alien roommate, faced a cosmic misunderstanding, and found something he hadn't realized he was looking for. A connection, a partner, a friend, maybe even more. The galaxy was big and weird, but sometimes in the middle of all the space bureaucracies and microwave lasagnas, you found a place you actually belonged.